In 1963, a man in the Cappadocia region of Turkey was renovating his home when one of his chickens slipped through a crack in a basement wall. He knocked the wall down and instead found a dark hallway leading down into the earth. The man had stumbled into the ancient city of Derinkuyu, an incredible 18-story subterranean metropolis carved directly into the bedrock. To understand why someone would build a megacity underground, you have to look at the exposed landscape above. Cappadocia sits at a historic crossroads between Europe and Asia, making it a constant highway for marching armies and conquering empires. For the locals living there thousands of years ago, a massive foreign army on the horizon presented a terrifying dilemma. There were no deep forests to escape into and no mountain peaks to fortify. So instead of building walls up, they dug down. Derinkuyu was highly engineered to function as a permanent survival machine, built to hide and protect up to 20,000 people at a time. Looking at this region, you can see distinct pointed rock formations. This landscape is made of ancient compressed volcanic ash called tuff. It is incredibly porous and soft enough to be sculpted with basic hand tools. Tuff has a highly specific chemical property. As long as it remains buried beneath the earth, it stays soft and easy to carve. But the moment it is exposed to the air, it oxidizes and hardens, instantly granting structural integrity to newly carved tunnels. The very ground beneath their feet was their most potent defense. By turning their own geology against invaders, they created a stronghold capable of outlasting centuries of surface warfare. Descending into the first level of the city, the immediate architectural priority was stopping foot soldiers from flooding the narrow hallways. The primary defense against physical assault relied on these massive, half-ton circular stone doors. Notice how smooth the outside surface is. Because they lacked exterior handles, these doors could only be rolled into place from the inside. Defenders would insert wooden poles into the central hole to leverage the massive weight forward, and then use that same gap to spear attackers trying to break through. Once rolled shut, the entrances completely vanished from the surface world. A standing army of thousands was instantly neutralized, bottlenecked against a wall of solid rock. But locking the door is only half the battle. Once you seal thousands of people underground, the immediate threat shifts to starvation and disease. This diagram shows the upper levels. The city kept its livestock near the surface. By mapping out airflow dynamics, they ensured toxic methane gases were pushed up and out, away from the human living quarters below. Alongside the animals, these upper tiers contained massive storage rooms, stockpiled with enough grain, jars of oil, and dry goods to feed the population through a months-long surface siege. This strict, deliberate separation between humans and livestock demonstrates a clear understanding of sanitation. They knew that in a closed environment, isolating biological functions was the only way to prevent mass outbreaks of disease. A siege is inherently a war of attrition. Derinkuyu was mathematically laid out to ensure the defenders underground had the supplies to outweight the invaders' logistics up above. As we move further down into levels 4 through 8, the logistics become existential. For 20,000 people living 200 feet deep, mass asphyxiation is a constant, terrifying reality. This graphic shows the 180-foot central ventilation shaft that acted as the city's mechanical lung. A capillary network of smaller air ducts branches from the center, pulling fresh oxygen down and distributing it to the most remote peripheral rooms. The second severe threat at this depth was hydration. A common tactic for invading armies was to find the defender's surface water source and poison it. The engineers solved this by sinking wells even further into the earth, tapping straight into deep underground aquifers that had zero physical connection to the surface. By isolating their air intake and severing their water table from the land above, the deepest levels functioned as an entirely self-contained, decoupled biosphere. These lowest levels were far more complex than dark utilitarian bunkers. Look at the vast scale of these illuminated spaces and thick pillars. The inhabitants carved out enormous chapels, entire religious schools, and communal wine presses. When you are locked below ground for months at a time, maintaining daily routines and community gathering spaces is a psychological necessity to prevent mass panic. These rooms reveal the dual purpose of the architecture. Derinkuyu was designed to keep their bodies alive, yes, but it served an equal role as a vault to protect their culture, religion, and identity while the surface world burned above them. The tunnels were permanently abandoned in the 1920s, once centuries of regional instability and religious persecution eventually subsided. By the time the last residents packed up their lives and returned to the surface, the city had kept countless families alive through countless wars. Derinkuyu demonstrates that subterranean living was a highly organized, long-term survival strategy rather than a temporary state of entrapment. The result is an 18-story shield, a complex machine of stone and air carved by a civilization that refused to be erased.